Today we have a couple special guests. One being my very special daughter, Birdie, to get us all excited for Halloween. Well, can you tell everyone that this year you picked out Mommy and Daddy and Bubba's Halloween outfits? What are we all going to be as a family?
I'm going to be Frankenstein, and my brother's going to be a mad scientist. Dad will be a mad scientist, and my brother will be my daddy's assistant, and my mom will be a Frankenstein's wife, and I'll be Frankenstein.
What should my family be?
Stars.
What advice do you have for our listeners about love?
Saying I love you.
Do you think that's the most important part about loving someone?
Yes.
And then did you tell everyone that you asked someone at school to marry you, right?
Yes.
And what did he say?
He did want to marry me, and I did. So now I want to marry someone different.
Good to have Ginny apps. I think we need to limit our options. I don't know if we need to be on like 4 or 5 at a time. I think we need to know when to take breaks. If you have 5 conversations going on, you have probably 3 too many. Mm-hmm. You know, like match with someone you're interested in. Really try to get to know them. If it, you know, don't put a ton of effort into it. I mean, by effort, I mean like, you know, listen, you don't know them, so like take it slow and see how it goes. But as long as you're always I always say consistency and progress. Like as long as things are somewhat consistent and making progress, that's a good sign. You know, I think we should be careful like how fast we should want it to go. You know, it shouldn't be going nowhere, but like we also don't have to go from 0 to 100.
I was dating in my 20s, social media didn't exist. So dating for me was different than how people date now. And I'd be curious, Nick, what you feel.
I think when it comes to romance, the game's completely changed, and yet our expectations of how we should fall in love are exactly the same. I think there's definitely the paralysis of choice. You know, it used to be so much easier back in the day to find something to watch on TV. You know, It's like, oh, Mean Girls is on. Great. I'm catching it halfway through. Wonderful. Like that was a totally fine thing. And now it's like Netflix is like, I can't find anything to watch. And you're just watching all these previews for 45 minutes.
So true.
We all have kind of one foot out the door. And I think that's causing us not to actually get to know people or check in. We have this expectation, just like back in the day, of just like falling in love at first sight. Mm-hmm. But like, it's hard to fall in love at first sight when we know, you know, it's just like, well, I got like 10 other matches, you know? And so it's like, it's that mindset's completely changed. I think it's just so hard for Cass to be sincere with social media being what it was. You know, back when I went on, you know, people went on and they went off and like they were never heard from again. And, you know, social media, you know, I'm very grateful. It's allowed me to build my platform and do things like write this book and have my show and put in the work to try to see if I can make something of this. And it's certainly taken a ton of work, but there have been other people, you know, other of my peers have had a lot of success as well. And so I think people showing up see that now, and that's why they're coming on, you know?
Yeah, you feel that.
I think that's something we often don't do. We will just assume what our feelings are. It's just like, I had fun with that person and then I like them. And then going forward, they'll never check back in with themselves. It's just like once they've decided that they like a person, every moment after that is just to get that person to like them back. And even though they stop reaching out or they're inconsistent or maybe they start being rude or they're dismissive or maybe they're just like on their phone all the time, they're just like, no, but I like them. I think those are red flags for ourselves that we should always be mindful of. Once we decide we like someone, we're so good at making excuses for people.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, oh, they didn't mean that. You know, they've been busy. It's fine. They're just trying to validate the feeling they decided they have rather than what they actually feel right now, because feelings can change over time. Dr. Wayne Dwyer, you know, said, what other people think of you is none of your business. And I that's something that's really important for me to remember on a day in and day out. And then something I talk a lot about on my show is just make sure you're always prioritizing your heart over your ego, and make sure you know the difference, because your ego doesn't care if you're happy. It just cares if it's right. And we often will make decisions based off of what our egos want us to do. and we often will ignore the things that we really need to feel fulfilled and nourished. One, what other people think of us is none of our business. And two, no one's meant to have that much feedback, you know?
Yeah.
But I think it's really important in life to have a good circle of family and friends and mentors, of people you trust, people whose feedback does matter to you, people who can, give you some critical feedback if you need it. But that circle should be relatively limited to people you trust. I think compliments and criticisms from people you don't know are equally as dangerous. And I do try to remind myself of that every day.